Hey guys, it's Emerald Green Eye here. Bernie Sanders today just announced he is running for president in 2020. Now, this is going to be my election prediction on if he wins the Democratic nomination and goes up against President Trump. Now, this prediction is only as of February 19th, 2019, so a lot could happen between now and 2020 that could drastically change the election. This is how I think things are going to go. I'm going to start by coloring in the safe states for Democrats and Republicans. So again, West Coast goes for Sanders. Mountain West is going for Trump. Deep South is going for Trump. Appalachia is going for Trump. Indiana. Now, I do think, oh yeah, Illinois, New York, Vermont comes out heavily for Sanders. So does most of New England. All right. And I think that Sanders, or yeah, I know that Sanders is going to do well in New Mexico, high minority vote. Trump's not too liked there based on his immigration policies, I think. But you never know. There is a chance. There's a chance at anything, really. So these are the states we have left. I'm going to start out by giving Donald Trump the state of Florida just because it's gone for the incumbent president in the last, I think, three elections. Yeah, it's gone for the incumbent. So, or no, not, or last three, or yeah, for the last three presidents we've had, Obama, Bush, and Clinton, it's gone for the incumbent, except, I mean, it even went for H.W. Bush when Ross Perot ran and seriously split the vote everywhere. It still went for the incumbent. So, and I will also give Donald Trump the state of Iowa because in 2016 he won the state more than Texas. And speaking of Texas, I'm also going to give that to Donald Trump as well as North Carolina, just because Bernie Sanders, I I don't think Bernie Sanders would have the appeal to flip either of these states. Texas is still right leaning. It voted in Ted Cruz. So I think that's I think for another election, for at least one other election cycle, it's going to be voting GOP. And Donald Trump, while I think he would win North Carolina by a much narrower margin than he did in 2016, I ultimately think that Bernie Sanders doesn't have that rural Southern appeal, or the or especially the white working class Southern appeal, especially with the evangelicals to win much of the South. Now, I do think Bernie Sanders is winning Minnesota. That hasn't gone Republican since 1972. I do think that Donald Trump will win Ohio simply because the state is leaning more GOP, and I feel like Donald Trump would still have appeal to all the blue collar workers in the Rust Belt. I'll be coming back to the Rust Belt later. Now, up in New England, I think that Bernie Sanders would win New Hampshire and all of Maine just because he's a New England Democrat. If he has appeal anywhere, it would be here especially. So, there we go. I think that Bernie Sanders would also win Colorado because of the younger vote and in the Denver and Boulder areas coming out heavily for him, because Colorado is becoming safer for the DNC. I mean, I think they held their convention in 2016 last year or last election here. I think Bernie Sanders would also win Nevada because I think he would do very well with the minority voters, especially, and the younger voters, millennials in Las Vegas. Now, I do think that Donald Trump again would narrowly win Arizona because Bernie Sanders, while he would have a high minority appeal, I don't think he'd have that high enough minority appeal to flip the state. Now, someone like Kamala Harris would have a larger chance at flipping the state, but ultimately, I don't think Arizona is going to be a Democratic state in this election. It is up. It is up for serious contention in 2024. But for now, I think that Donald Trump could narrowly carry the state again, as he did in 2016. So then we get to the Rust Belt. I think that Bernie Sanders can flip Michigan back because it was very close in 2016, and I think he does have the younger appeal. High amount of millennial voters would come out for Bernie Sanders. Um, Michigan has been a traditionally left-leaning state for a little while. Then now we're left with these three states to decide the election: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Virginia. So call me kooky, call me crazy. I don't care, but I think not Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders could flip back Pennsylvania simply because of the simply because he is a New England Democrat, a Northeastern Democrat. I think State College would come out heavily for him. I think he could win the suburbs around Pennsylvania. He'd probably do well in Erie too. And I see him also doing well in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. So I think that would be enough to flip the state away from Donald Trump. However, I do think that Donald Trump could win Virginia. Actually, no, Bernie Sanders could win Virginia. And I think that Donald Trump could win Wisconsin. Sanders would win Virginia. There's a lot of Northern Virginians who are very unhappy about the government shutdown. I think that would be enough to turn them against Trump. But Trump, I think, still has that blue collar appeal in the Rust Belt. So I'm going to give Wisconsin to him because I don't feel like Bernie Sanders, I don't feel like enough voters would come out for Bernie Sanders, mostly due to his far left-leaning ideals. So I think Donald Trump could carry Wisconsin again, meaning this is an electoral tie and it goes to Congress. Now, this is just my opinion as of now, February 2019. This is liable for change. I'm Emerald Green Eye signing